Honeybees don't like to be disturbed. When someone approaches a hive, European honeybees send out around 20 guard bees. By comparison, African bees send out hundreds of guard bees, and these bees are known to chase their victims for a quarter of a mile. This angry response explains why stings from African bees have killed more than 1,000 people in recent years. The Democratic Republic of Congo's Pygmies are among Central Africa's oldest indigenous peoples. For millennia, they have lived as hunter-gatherers, surviving off the plants, birds, and monkeys in the forest. But the past, though, they actually destroyed bee colonies while collecting the honey.
My traditional practice was to take dried branches or leaves, put them on fire, and burn out the bees so they would be killed instead of attacking me.
But burning wild bee colonies kills the bees. It means that the honey can only be harvested once from any colony. Not a sustainable system.
They feel bad that they destroyed more than 500 hives in the forest before they understood.
Hand Up Congo, a small Australian nonprofit, partners with local Congolese on a variety of food security projects. The organization is trying to help the Congolese develop a sustainable method for raising bees. The nonprofit hired professional Congolese trainers from the nation's only beekeeping group, the Association d'Apiculteurs, to work with a new bee collective they helped form. The trainers show their students how to raise and preserve bees without the need to burn out the colony. The pupils also learn how to market the honey from the bees. The apprentices try out the protective beekeeping suit. Mesh netting in the suit's headgear does protect the wearer's face. But if the mesh touches the person's skin, a bee's stinger can still penetrate through the tiny holes in the netting. Students discover how to calm bees by blowing smoke at them with devices made from tin and bellows made from the inside of old tires. The association has set up a demonstration beehive. The hive's glass wall allows students to see what the queen bee looks like, where she is within her hive, and how worker bees build a honeycomb.
They are creating the house where they are living. That substance is coming from their body, from the abdomen, and that's why they are creating that thing that seems like a cake. Here's the queen.
Okay.
Here's the queen. The young queen. There she is.
The trip started in Kinshasa, Congo's largest city. Next, a flight to Mbandaka, the province of Equator, and its provincial capital. Then, traveling by motorized dugout canoe to the village of Letumbe, a 17-hour voyage down the Congo River and its tributaries. Finally arriving at the village of Letumbe, when the experts from the Bee Association came to Letumbe, they taught the cooperative members how to use readily available materials, such as local bamboo, to build wooden hives. In Letumbe, it was time to demonstrate the new sustainable training. The team was setting out to find a wild bee colony in the forest. But now, instead of burning the colony to get the honey, they would capture the queen and bring her and the worker bees back to the village in her specially built home. The simple wooden box would become the latest palace for a wild queen bee and her minions. The expedition crossed the river and then followed a vine-shrouded stream to a remote pygmy village. In the forest, one teammate led the way, cutting a trail through the dense vegetation. It was unclear where they were going, or how long the trek might take, or perhaps more importantly, how hot it would get. The humidity seemed to hover at 99%, with the temperature not far behind. The hardy Congolese crossed one stream after another, finally finding a bee colony in a fallen log. Some of the beekeepers suited up in their bulky white outfits. To get the wild colony, one brave member had to chop a hole in the tree with an axe. It took hours to get to the hive. To calm the bees and lessen the chances of their stinging, a team member blew smoke on them. Finally, someone reached inside the new hole in the tree trunk and brought out the sheets of honey and brood comb, covered in wild African bees. He placed it into the wooden box. On each comb, many worker bees came along for the ride. The queen was still inside the tree trunk, and the team couldn't leave until they found and marked the queen and moved her into her new home. After what seemed like hours, the queen bee was identified, captured, and tagged. She was placed in the box. The remaining bees followed. With the bees locked inside, the team carried the buzzing box back to the dugout canoe.
Que la reine ne puisse pas sortir. C'est la reine est dedans.
The team then retraced their journey and headed back toward their own village, Latumbe. The training had paid off.
We used fire to kill the whole hive to get honey. We didn't know we could get the honey without killing them all. I was afraid of bees, but now I accept them more like flies I can just brush away. And now we don't have to go so far into the forest to search for hives. We are bringing hives near us so we can easily get to the honey.
In the first year, the group collected 20 wild colonies to create hives. They learned new methods for processing and storing honey, and it began to pay off.
The bottling is the end of the process here.
They harvested and sold 18 liters of Latumbe honey. In Congo, education is not free. Some of the money from the honey sales will go partly towards school fees for Latumbe's 111 Pygmy orphans. Now, all the children of Latumbe will be able to learn to read and write. In Latumbe as elsewhere in Congo, Bantu are typically landowners, while Pygmies are like serfs who do much of the manual labor. They have lost their traditional forest home due to increasing numbers of people fleeing conflict. The Pygmies have lost their livelihood and, with few assets, no education, and no experience of how to support themselves in an alien urban environment, their society has withered. A goal of the Latumbe social enterprise has been to bring Pygmies and Bantu together, working side by side in a community on equal footing. Together they are protecting bees, fighting climate change by planting bee-friendly trees, and harvesting honey to sell. The special skills of the Pygmies are bringing new respect in the community.
The Pygmies are involved in our project because the Pygmy technicians have a lot of experience getting honey and capturing hives. In the forest, even from a long ways away, they can hear the sounds of bees. They instinctively know where the bees are. Before the bee project, I had only interacted with my own Pygmy brothers and sisters. Since the beekeeping training, I have been able to work with the Bantu. I think this is a way we can be integrated into society.
Tunayo wilu ya ukese kamwena yao dinga dinga lokumwe ya